everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse. You guys know, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times, and these other books right here. Where you can get them is down in that description. So you guys go down. Go down like it's the dirty 80s. Yeah, it was pretty dirty. And everybody, as always, thank you so much for all the love, all the support, all the friendship, everybody who's helping to make this channel by coming on, by commenting, by supporting, by members, by Patreon, everybody, lurkers, haters, all of you. Thank you so much for all the love, all the support. It truly means the whole world to me. And what means the world to me today is going to be a little talk about, you know, you guys are so, a lot of people, not you guys, because you guys here know that groupie and music have no boundaries here. I wasn't just part of one genre, one era, one experience, one part of history and music. I got to hang out. My music love of the music really expanded and kind of changed with the time, hearing the new acts, hearing everything that was coming out. What was coming out about 91, early 92-ish was Digital Underground. You know who was in Digital Underground as a backup dancer? Tupac Shakur. So you think just as there's just more people, I've hit my limit of the famous musicians, rappers, artists, actors that I've met. Doesn't stop there, you guys. It just keeps on coming. And they did. Trust me, they all came. No, not Digital, but we'll get to the story. And I'm going to still be drinking one of my margaritas because it's just such great margarita weather. Oh, everybody, grab your margaritas, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. Oh, I love a good margarita. Okay, so like I said, we are going to be talking about Digital Underground. And you know, when I first met them, like, yes, Tupac was part of the group. He was on the road with them. And you don't realize the incredible music genius and voice and person that you're meeting, because he's not, like, you can feel the energy. But anyway, we'll get to that. So this was after I'd started dancing. So it had to be late 91 or early 92. Davey had just started dancing, and her and Danny and I were bored one night. We decided to go downtown to do the rounds, like I've told you, where we go around the hotels to find the tour bus and see if anybody's in town. Well, we didn't make it to the hotel. We just saw a couple tour buses heading. We're like, well, we're going to follow that. We're following them. So I started following them. Or Davey and I started following, and Davey was driving convertible Corvair that was, say hello to baby beluga, everybody. Say hello, love chicken. But anyway, so we just saw the tour buses. We're like, fuck yeah, we don't know who's on there, but we are sure as fuck following them, without a doubt. So we're following them. When they go to North Temple, they go out to the fairgrounds, which is close to the airport. And a lot of bands have played there, like That's Where I Met Striper, Pop Will Eat Itself, God, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Jane's Addiction, where I first hung out with them. So the fairgrounds actually had a lot of really cool bands. So it could have been anybody. So we pull up and we just sort of follow the buses in. The guys were like, yeah, just come on in. They just figured we were with them because we were just right behind the buses. So we just drove into the little marked off area for the Backstage buses to park at and just sort of parked. And we were like, hey. And that Corvair, I'm telling you, that convertible Corvair was a dick magnet. Big time. Big time dick magnet. So they did, plus, you know, 3 girls dressed to the nines looking pretty down in Salt Lake City got their attention too. And as they were getting out of the bus, we were like, who is this? Who is this? We don't know who this is. And then, because the lead singer, he didn't have his nose and glasses little contraption thing on that he usually has. So we were like, who is this? And they just came over, started talking, introducing, this is a good car. We were like, hey, we didn't even need to get out of the car yet. Like, this was, when I say it was like shooting fish in a barrel back then. I mean it. A good car, cute clothes, pretty girls, pulling up in a cop car. Anything could be the start of the conversation. So keep that in mind, ladies. Because the start of conversations is how these nights all begin. So they're like, oh yeah, we're Digital Underground. Well, like, yeah, we know who Digital Underground is. That's so fucking cool. That's really cool. You ladies want to come to this show? The inevitable question in the first 5 minutes. Fuck yeah. So they're like, yeah, we got to do sound check. We got to do this. So why don't you hang out and we'll go on the bus and we'll start the party. Cool beans. We go inside. They start doing sound check. They're doing We're the Freaks of the Underground. Freaks of the Underground. And so while they're getting ready up there, their sound man and stuff, and I think I knew their sound man or tour manager. I ended up knowing someone on the tour because he came out while we were all talking to the guys. There was Edward Schmoove who took an instant liking to Daviny, but that plays out later in the story. So he took an instant liking to Daviny, and the tour manager comes out. I think it was Quake. I could be wrong, but I think it was Quake. So he comes out, and he's like, ladies, he's all, is there any? He's like, what, this one took you 5 minutes? And we're like, no, it took you 5 seconds. We're all, hey! And they're like, yeah, we know these girls. Yeah, they're cool chicks. They should be hanging out, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, they were kind of like, whoa, whoa. And there is a difference between the rap world as far as groupies are concerned and the rock world. It's, you know, we have the same heart and souls, but it's a different approach. It's a different vibe, which was really cool. And it's a very cool vibe. It's a very different, very smooth. And that's why there was Edward Schmoove. So we all go in, Quake's doing, and we're just standing there talking to Quake and watching these guys do their sound check and stuff. And just as you do, and we're like, this is kind of cool. We didn't expect this tonight, you know, Digital Underground. I can't remember who was opening. But as we're standing there talking, a couple of the backup dancers came up and they were going to get ready to kind of rehearse their bit on the stage and get the sound going and stuff. And Quake just introduces us, and one of them was Tupac. And we're just talking, and he was like, got that little smile on his face that he gets. It's kind of this little boy smile, but it's kind of this mischievous man smile at the same time. And he was just like, hey, nice to meet you. And he was a little bit shy, but he was a little bit of a playa. You know what I mean? Like, the shyness was his game. And I thought it was adorable. So we're all just standing there talking. They go up, and we watch the show. Or we go out onto the bus, do the usual, smoking the weed, everybody talking, everybody having a good time. Schmovie's just hanging on to Daviny. She's digging on him. Danny and I are just sort of hanging out. You know, we're just feeling the vibe. And it's just a really cool vibe. And they're like, oh, so you're rock groupies. And we're like, yeah, we've known Quake through it. And they're like, well, what do you think? And we're like, oh, dude, we don't care. We've hung out with MC Hammer, Ice Cube. We're already been there, done that. You know, music is not to us. And this is the only time we ever really discussed music, that music really has no boundaries. And whatever hits your heart and soul is where you go. And for us groupies, it was like that. And they kind of were like, whoa. They didn't see. And Tupac was very much talking about the strength of women. He's like, yeah. He's like, rock groupies seem to have this little fiercer attitude, this fuck you, we're kicking in the door kind of attitude. So we kind of had this really conversation about what groupies were like between the two genres. And I've been telling you I'm going to talk about that, and we will. That will be my next groupie series. So we're hanging out, smoking a shit ton of weed. Like, I mean, I was higher than fuck, and I am a pro pot smoker. But high as fuck. So we're all just goofing off, going hand in hand. I'm with the lead singer walking in, you know, just arms clenched between him and Edward Schmoove, and Davidy's on the other side. Danny's hanging out with Tupac and another guy. And we're just skipping down the yellow brick road because it somehow came down to the yellow brick road. So, sorry, Kristen, I'm getting ready to interview Kristen, and she's keeps texting me while I'm trying to film. So sorry guys if I sound distracted because I'm reading texts as they're coming in, but Kristen's coming back. So we go to the show, right? We're just hanging out. We're having a good time. Really awesome show. And Tupac kept coming on to the side of the stage, smoking, just having drinks. We were doing shots of Henny, just having a really fucking good time. Like, the vibe and the energy that night was just so pumping, just off the fucking charts, because the crowd was amazing. People don't realize that Salt Lake City has one of the most amazing crowds. And that's for every type of genre, still to this day. And that's a big, huge deal, you know, like that's a big draw. That's why we get a lot of concerts, because they not only sell out every single one, no matter what the genre, no matter where they are, but it's just people love the music that much here. Like Salt Lake City just has a really killer music scene. So they were just really, really pumped. We're hanging out after the show. They're like, come back to the hotel. We'll hang out. We'll do some more shots. We'll just kick back and relax tonight. And then somehow, some way, somebody got the idea that and they had already booked these. They're like, but we should go to the hot tubs first. The hot tubs? What do you mean? The hot springs? Because just north of Salt Lake City, there's the lava hot springs type of stuff. So we're like, oh, is that where you want to go? They're like, no, we booked a rent by the hour hot tub place. And it was down in the city area, Salt Lake, and South Salt Lake, just off State Street, which is kind of the center road that runs from beginning to end of Salt Lake, you know, for the whole duration. Can't you get scabies from that? Don't hookers and their johns go in there? You know, like escorts and shit. Isn't that? So that was kind of weird. They're like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. The girls love it. We have such a good time. We're like, not with the rock chicks, you don't. We don't get in hotel hot tubs, let alone rent by the hour friggin' hot tubs, people. But we all went down there in the bus, and we just all sort of stood outside. I'm like, no, we don't even have clothes. And if you think I'm getting naked in there, you high as fuck. Because, no, my bits are not going to be subject to whatever amoebas and grunge is happening in schmegma. No. No, so that kind of, they were all kind of jumping in, and we're the only girls hanging out with them. And we're like, no thanks. This is okay. We'll pass. So that ended that real quick. And we just ended up like taking the bus and starting to party on the bus, taking it back to the hotel. We stayed on the bus for another couple hours, because when you're on the bus partying, you can party longer. Because if you go to your hotel rooms, you're on that tour, nobody wanted to go mess up their hotel room or make it the all-night party. You want to have the freedom to go back to your own hotel room. And also, you don't have your neighbors in the hotel calling the front desk to tell you to shut the fuck up, tone the party down. So we just stayed on the bus for the next few hours, just really like talking, having a good time. And Tupac was talking about how he was going to go be a rapper, and how he had these really cool songs, and he was talking about the lyrics. He's like, and it's going to say something, you know, it's not just going to be like white lines or, you know, Pippin and the Hood, but he's like, I've got a voice. And he was telling me about how his mom and dad were Black Panthers and stuff. And I was just completely fascinated by the story he was telling me. And I could feel his energy. I could feel his vibe. And I knew he was going to be something huge. I knew he was going to get away from Digital Underground. But, you know, back then, you think maybe he's going to become the lead singer of Digital Underground, make it bigger than they were at the moment, more than a one-hit wonder. Well, 2 or 3 hit wonder, really. Still love those guys. Love Digital Underground. Still a rockin' little band. But, yeah, so just meeting Tupac before he was known to the rest of the world, really, as what he became, was really, really amazing. So, and I never really, for a lot of years, I guess I never put 2 and 2 together, because they leave, like I said, we just party till around 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody goes to bed. David, he stays back. Danny and I go home. We come pick up David in the morning. And they had all of our numbers, and these guys stayed in touch. Even Tupac, like, they would all call us. And we even gave him our, because we were all working in American Bush. Danny was a receptionist, front door receptionist at the club, while David and I were dancers. And they would call our work and be like, hey ladies, what are you doing? You should come out to San Francisco. And we did once just because we were all out in San Francisco having a good time anyway. So we're like, oh yeah, we're going to be out here. We had just planned a girls trip. And we're like, fuck it, let's go, you know, we're going to hang out with you guys too. So we ended up hanging out with them in California, just having a really good time. And like I said, it never really hit me until a lot of times later that, wait a minute, Tupac, 2 and 2. This is the guy from, and it's not like Tupac is a common name by any means, but for some reason, I guess I never put 2 and 2 together until later. And then later in his career, at the end of his career, I was living in Las Vegas the night he was assassinated. So, and I remember sitting in the dressing room, and a lot of the girls, like my friends Tanisha and Passion and Allure and Tamika and Trouble and oh my God, Javenta, whose boyfriend was part of oh my gosh, we like big butts and we cannot lie. Her boyfriend was part of that crew, and that he was a DJ. So I just remember sitting in the dressing room, and they were like, oh my God, they had lost, there was this icon that was just lost, and it was just a few blocks away from us. And everybody wanted to go to the scene, but then everything was blocked off and we couldn't get off. So we all just went out in the parking lot and started smoking a joint. And everybody was talking about how sad they were, what a great influence he had on how hard his life was, what a Suge Knight and all that stuff. I mean, the conversation was going, and I was like, you know, I said, I met him when he was in Digital Underground before he was anybody. I said, I knew he was going to be somebody, but, you know, it's just sad that his career was cut short and that his music was not owned by him or his family, and that everything that happened afterwards had to go through that. Because when I met Tupac, he was just ready to conquer the world. We were all so young and had that young just fearlessness and assurity and this is what I'm gonna fucking do. And he went and goddamn did it. He became the biggest member that was not even really front and center from Digital Underground. He's a legend. And Digital Underground has their legendary part in rap and R&B and all that history, because there's this beautiful, rich history in rap and R&B and stuff. And you know, I was really lucky to not just meet Digital Underground, but to meet someone who had such an amazing talent and a voice that was heard. You know, and to see him when he was just starting out, and to hear some freelance rapping, because, you know, everybody was just hanging out, and he was doing some freelance rapping that night. Not while we were in the hot tubs, because those hot tubs, I'm telling you, oh, hey, kitty. Wait, what happened back there? He just sort of hurdled the pillows. But, yeah. So, you know, it's just really awesome that I get to meet, because like I said, I wasn't just a few years. I wasn't just in rock and roll. It was 30 plus years. You know, I was 17 when John dies. I still hang out backstage, but not like I used to, you know? So 30 plus years of consistent hanging out backstage like I got to meet so many different genres of music. Like you guys know, Neil Diamond, Toby Keith, Ice Cube, the Jackson family, you know, Stones, everybody. So to have met Tupac at his earliest and his most hungry and his most innocent and his most, not most innocent maybe, but his most bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, you know, not completely wrecked by the music industry yet, because bands get destroyed by the music industry. Metallica's one of them, I'm sorry, but they don't have the same passion. They don't have the same showcasing of their heart and soul in their music anymore. But, you know, Tupac always put his heart and soul in the music. And that night when I first met him and watching him dance and stuff, he really stood out on that stage. So I was there to meet Tupac in the beginning, and I was living in Vegas on his last night. And it was a really dark and sad night. But, you know, it's not just about them. It's about Digital Underground. Because, you know, rap stars, they have their groupies too. And if you've ever seen the movie Straight Outta Compton, they talk about it. And I've met some of those guys. And they're cool-ass guys, you know. Like I said, I've been around so many different genres of music. But I do enjoy, I've met Ludacris, I've met Usher and E40 and so many amazing rappers that are such part of the different genres or different eras of rap's history. And I'm really lucky to have been able to do that, and especially to meet Digital Underground, because we all know their song The Humpty Dance it's a classic, absolute classic. But I still love Freaks in the Industry the best. And you know, just so happy that Tupac got to reach the status that he did, because he is legend without a doubt. And I love his lyrics whenever he comes on. I always, on my playlist when I'm out walking or exercising or whatever, I always smile and think of that young Tupac, hungry, ready to go, just about to conquer the fucking world. It was badass. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for all the love, all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed today's little story, because like I said, you know, I like to break what people think the groupie box is, because every groupie that has been presented to the world in the history of, you know, groupies has been such a very, very small experience compared to 30 years. Rap, country, rock, pop culture, all this stuff that I have experienced in all the bands I've met. So hope you guys really enjoy that. It's expanding your mind, and that it's encouraging you guys to really be true to yourselves and go out there and find different music. That really is what made me. That's the true love of music. Just, I keep searching, and there's always brilliant stuff to discover. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for making it through the whole video with me. Thank you guys for being here and really, really just making this community, this family, a really amazing togetherness. Just like a concert. All right, so we will see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Of course, I've got Kristen coming. I've got Diana Williams coming on. I've got a lot of really good stuff in the near future with the podcast to come. Cheers, big